Hello, I'm Cat, and odds are if you're looking for something in your Minecraft world, you can find it with a map. There are now 11 different Explorer maps in Minecraft, all of which will point you to an entirely different place, and this is on top of the fact that you can find regular maps, as well as regular maps without the player dot, as well as maps that don't seem to lead you anywhere. How do all of these exist alongside each other? Well, thanks to new Minecraft updates, it can be confusing, but I'm going to break that down because this is going to be your... And today, I really do intend to guide you through each of these. I also have to guide you through my questionable decision making when it comes to G's. They're very hard to make. Do you go uppercase or lowercase? Anyway though, the important thing is that one of the important cases of maps is that 3 of these are very easy to find and you don't need much of a guide for them. Find a cartographer, which is to say a villager with a monocle in any village, and you'll be able to buy from him maps to each of these 3 places. The Woodland Explorer map, the Ocean Explorer map, and the Trail Explorer map are found from any cartographer, and they'll lead you to each of those 3 structures. Sadly, they won't lead you to the fun combination of all 3, which is why we've had to make one ourselves here, but it does mean that if you're looking for any of those 3 structures, it's probably going to be easy for you to find them. However, there are still other maps yet, the easiest ones being the regular maps. If you craft them with 9 paper, they'll look like this. If you craft them with 8 paper and a compass, it looks like this. The compass allows you to see where you are, and in this case, I am somewhere south of the starting of the map because of the weird awkward way that they snap to grids. But also, there is another type of map that you can use that is even cheaper than 8 paper, because buried treasure maps will require precisely none. They don't even require you to trade with a villager, because you simply go to a shipwreck, which has a 100% chance of having a buried treasure map if it has a buried treasure chest. And so in this case right here, we can see here is a chest, the one with a clock, which is very handy if you're the sort of Minecraft player who doesn't like looking at the sun, as well as a treasure map, which is great because it looks like a regular map. Literally, it has the exact same icon, but it will guide me to buried treasure. You can also find these in ocean ruins, although there is just a 41% chance of finding them there. But in either case, if you have one of these maps, you'll be able to find yourself a X, which marks the spot for some treasure. So in this case, we'll mark the X metaphorically, and when we go down below it, we'll find the chest, which can contain some of the weirdest and most valuable things in Minecraft, from chainmail armor to the hearts of the sea to literal diamonds. These are some of the most incredible things to find, and what's nutty about it is because the same chest locations are on every seed, if you happen to know where one is, you don't even need the treasure map. The treasure map is kind of the fun mini game to make it work. So that is a simple guide to your first 6 maps, but there are many more that have been added, and these vary based on the villager. So if you are in a desert and your villager is 2 and he is a cartographer, you can find 3 different maps. This is on top of the maps I mentioned before, so Ocean Explorer maps will lead me to a monument, Trail Explorer maps for a trial chamber, and of course the Woodland Explorer map. But now at a lower level, you can find a Plains village map, and this is like again, you can see it's like the treasure map, except the treasure is a Plains village. Much less valuable to most people, you might say. And so there are 3 different types you can find in a desert: the Savanna village map, or the Plains village map, or the Jungle Explorer map. That is to say, if you don't want a Plains village because you've got enough of those, they're probably the most common type of village, at least in my experience, then you might instead be better off going for a Savanna village map or a Jungle Explorer map, which you can do by making more cartographers. That's right, tell the man you don't like his maps, boycott them, and buy from his competitors instead. That is what you've got to do. And the same is true for the jungle. And yes, here's a fun thing that we should start off nice and early with. There are not 5 types of villager, because there's 5 types of village, but instead there are 7 types of villager, because there are 7 biomes that villagers can generate in. If they generate in the jungle, they very rudely wear ocelot. I'm just saying, where'd you get that fur from, huh, buddy? Anyway, so my good friend, the jungle cartographer, who I do not believe in paying fairly, will potentially give me access to a desert or a swamp explorer map, and indeed, it's not just those 2, he'll also potentially link me to a Savanna village as well. In fact, every single villager can link you to a different place, so we go to the Plains. He is the only cartographer who only gives us 2 group maps. One of those is to the, actually, I'll show you how this works. We make our first 5 trades, and at level 2, we'll be able to see the Savanna village is one of those options, and the Tiger taiga village is the other. Very, very useful stuff to know. It's also useful to know, by the way, that just because a villager is born in a certain village, it doesn't mean that he is going to be from that village. This is a very interesting view that Mojang holds on immigration, but basically, you know, when you immigrate from one village type to another, you don't necessarily become that type of villager, which is crucial when it comes to trades. A Plains villager will always sell Plains villager maps, even if he, say, moves into the savannah. Again, this is implication from Mojang about the integration and whatnot of peoples as they move from place to place. But in other words, they're saying that if I was to move from my village that I live in to a different one, I would still call, you know, a bun, and I would still be a big fan of, you know, like, I don't know, like the battered sausage as opposed to actually eating cod. Or, you know, actually, here's the hot one. I think that curry sauce should go on your chips, but in different villages, they don't believe that. And so the same is true for Minecraft. This is a savannah villager, but because he wasn't born in a savannah village, he won't be giving me any of those things. But if I did find a savannah villager, notable for their very strong red colors, they would give me each of these three things. So, a fun lesson from Minecraft in the middle of your ultimate guide programming today. The snowy cartographer, again, if they were born there, you know, let's say this is a Greenlandic villager and not a, you know, like a, let's say he didn't come from Denmark or the United States, but if this were a native Greenlandic villager, I don't know what this video has become, by the way, but I'm sticking with it, he might be able to offer me a Plains village map, which I don't really like, I've got enough Plains villages, but he might also be able to offer me a Swamp Explorer map. So, unlike these other Explorer maps, which will lead me to villages, swamp and jungle biomes have villagers, but not villages. So what happens when you go to those maps? Well, as you might expect, there are structures in both of those biomes, and they'll show you those instead. So if I head to the north and west of my current position, and in fact, we can also note that I'm a very small pixel here, on these maps, I'm quite large. That means I'm within a few thousand blocks. This means I'm at least 3,000 blocks away to the south, maybe also to the west, but if I, in fact, definitely not to the west, if I go 3,000 blocks to the north and about a few hundred blocks to the west, I know that I will find myself the swamp biome. The only problem is, because it's not an arrow, how do I do that? Well, there's a simple equation we can put on screen right here. If you go in the negative Z direction, you'll go north. Go in the positive Z, you'll go south. Go in the negative X, and you'll go west, and go in the positive X, and you'll go to the east. And so if we go this direction, if we look at my coordinate, it's going up, which means I'm actually going away from the swamp hut, whereas if I go this way, my X is going down because it's negative. A higher negative number is actually lower than a lower negative number. Let's ignore the confusing maths in that, which means I'm getting closer to this swamp. In fact, you can actually see that happening. As I'm going negative on the X, I'm slowly getting closer to my swamp hut, but I'm still thousands of blocks away in this direction. No, in this direction, the positive Z, and so I'm just not going to bother trying with that, but I can, if I want to, use this knowledge to help me find a swamp biome, because the fun thing is, although these are village explorer maps that we're talking about here, you can use them to find a plains biome if you really want a flatland, or a taiga biome if you really want a spruce tree, or a swamp biome if you really want those lovely sweet blue, light blue orchids. So next up, the swamp cartographer. This is the type of cartographer that was most controversial back in the day, because Mojang was thinking of changing villagers to make it so only these guys could give you unbreaking and jungle villagers for mending too. But interestingly enough, they backed down from this. But so you might have a swamp village somewhere in your world if you were preparing for that, and if you had a swamp village, if any of those villagers were to be cartographers, they'd give you jungle explorer maps and snowy village maps. Snowy village maps are great because they can help you find one of the rarest types of villages. Again, I don't know if you would want that in your world, because when do you want to have different villager types besides for looking for other villagers? But still, it might be valuable to you. But something that definitely is the jungle explorer map. I recently did a run getting all of the trims in Minecraft, and one of the most notable comments was people saying, wow, you got the jungle trim first? For me, that's always the last one, because jungle temples are not a common structure. Jungles are somewhat common, but the structures themselves are not. And so if you're looking for that structure, having a map straight to it is very handy, and so having a swamp villager might be what you need to do. How do you get a swamp villager? Bring two villagers from another biome into the swamp and then have them breed here, or using the same logic that can result in a savannah villager not being from the savannah biome, have a village that cuts over multiple biomes. Fun fact, you can have that be a thing in Minecraft. You can have multiple biome villages. So finally here, we've got the Tiger Cartographer, and as you can probably work out by a process of elimination, this map I showed you earlier is the way in which different biomes link to each other. So if you want to know how to use this map, if you're in a jungle village, then when you are in that biome, you'll be able to find savanna villages as well as swamps. When you're in a swamp, you'll as well as by the way, all the way to the right there, which if I'm not mistaken is the desert village, and then we've got the swamp village all the way down here, which will link you to a jungle temple, or a jungle biome in this case. Also, it will link you to the snowy village, and also to the tiger village. And so using this map, you can work out which biome you need to be in to find the village maps for other types of biomes. And so using this map, we can say, okay, tiger villages should show us snowy villages, as well as swamps, as well as plains villages, and let's see what our boy the Tiger Man, who is looking at the ground, in fact does want to trade with us. Ooh, that's a plains village map, and that's a snowy village map. So all we need as proof that this works is now to theoretically also get a swamp map, but he is perfectly capable of them because boom, these are his free groups right there, and that is how you use all of the brand new Explorer maps and how it ties into all of the old ones. As for how it is that you get these maps or whatever, and indeed these ones, the answer is map art, and because of all of the people who have been asking about how to make custom paintings or custom emojis, one of the future Ultimate Guide episodes, in fact presumably the very next one, will go through the answer to precisely that question. But for now, hopefully this has been a useful Ultimate Guide to help you understand how maps work in Minecraft. I think we took a very ziggity-zaggity route. In fact, we had to go through all of the biomes in the game, but the fun thing about this is that this is a great way to actually explore your Minecraft world using the lore the game intends. A lot of people swear by chunk base, and I will never tell you how to play Minecraft or not, but a lot of people have much more fun using in-game tools, and ultimately, now that we have coordinates, which are the best way to find your way around anyway, ultimately, coordinates and maps are a really great tool when used correctly together, and that's why I recommend you use both of those when looking for your 5 to 7 village types. With that said, I hope you all enjoyed this video, I hope you found it useful, and if you were a little lost at any point in this video, just remember, you can find yourself unlost by using a map. Actually, you know, that's wildly not true. Even though we have the map, and we have the compass, and we even have the combination of those two things, your coordinates are actually a much better bet for not getting lost. So just write those down somewhere on a piece of paper where your base is, and then you'll never get lost. Or even, be like me, I have a little book where I write all the coordinates of fun things that I find. But yeah, you feel free to do anything you want all the time, because Minecraft is the game where no one can tell you what you can and cannot do, which is why I didn't remind you about that house halfway through this video. And anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.